Hello, Ben.
Hello,
We're
how is
live.
it
Hello, Ben.
going?
Yeah,
Hello,
we're
how
live.
is it
Hello, Ben.
going?
I need to mute the preview that I'm listening to. There we go. I can hear you now and not hear ourselves. We can hear Ben.
Nice.
There we go.
Apparently, for me, that's the result. Already better than last week.
Yeah,
No
exactly.
offense, Joe.
I'm
You
I'm
did a great
winning.
job.
I'm beating Joe. So yeah, we were going to start and just have a little bit of a chat and catch up. Just while we've padded time until it was 4 o'clock, and then would you know, we're here
It's
for
four
another week.
o'clock.
So yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome Ben. Have you having a good week?
Yeah, I'm having a busy week. I can't believe it's Thursday already. This really, really snuck up on me very, very quickly. But it's not too bad. How about you? How's your week going?
Yes, it's good. It's going fast. I'm sounding a little robotic. I think that's because I'm using my headset mic. I'm not sure there's much I can do about that. Sorry, Wolfie. Hope it's not too unbearable, but let me know if so, and I'll see what I can fiddle with. Ben, should we talk about some games industry news?
Yeah, let's talk some news. That's what we normally do while we're here. So let's do that. So kicking off this week over the weekend, maybe a little bit controversially, a player was DQ'd from a Mortal Kombat event because they criticised the developer, which is NetherRealm Studios. It seems like it was quite an innocuous thing that happened. Basically, custom moveset. This player, and the player was Titanium Tigers. They named it. Why did NRS do this? NRS being NetherRealm Studios. And he was disqualified from the tournament without much warning for having that name. Titanium Tigers said it was just it was a joke. It wasn't intended to be anything too mean or anything. It was just that the player that he was using has this move called Dragon Drop, and it's almost unbeatable. He was just kind of asking, why would you make a player that is so easy to win with? And he said he didn't get given the opportunity to change it. It was just straight out. So yeah, disappointing for him. But he said he will. It's not going to stop him from playing other games and playing in other tournaments for Mortal Kombat. But yeah, it's quite an interesting one because it's you've got to be diligent in those situations, and if there's negative things being done and negative things being said, there needs to be action taken. But it's where the line is, and it feels like the line wasn't quite right this
Yeah,
time.
we've discussed a lot, kind of the whole community management role. There's definitely the unsung heroes of the industry, and it's such a demanding job and so real time as well. Like you need to make these. You can't call up head office and have a board meeting and decide what the rule is. Like these things are happening. Streams are live, events are live, decisions need to be made at the drop of a hat. So yeah, it's good to see them sort of, I guess, taking action, but yeah, it's tough to get the, yeah, like I said, where to draw the line on these sorts of things. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting, I guess, kind of emergent responsibility within the industry. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because we know as well that there are instances that happen in the gaming world where shots can be taken at developers and quite personal shots. Obviously, this wasn't a personal one, but I guess when you're trying to make a decision on the fly when something is happening live being streamed, you might not be sure where that's going to go, and you have to take action to try and reduce the risk. So yeah, maybe not quite the right decision, but it's a stark reminder that you need to be aware of what you're putting out and how it's coming across, because maybe that was just misconstrued. But yeah, if when you're in public and you are taking shots at people, you just need to think about what the consequences of that may be. And thankfully, it doesn't seem like Titanium Tigers has taken it too personally, so that's good. The next bit of news we have, which might interest you, Dan, because I know you're a fan of VR. Apple are reportedly have a headset of their own in the works. Now, word is that this is going to be released next year. No firm date, but it's expected to drop in 2022. But it is expected to be at the top end of the market, which is probably no surprise from Apple. And there's talk that this might be being done, or they might benefit from the fact that Oculus, the latest Oculus, you have to have a Facebook account to use it to sign in, and they might capture people who are anti-Facebook fans of VR. Now, I've not done a lot of VR myself, but I know that you last year or maybe the year before, everything's a blur now. You got the PlayStation VR, so I know you have an interest in VR gaming. What are your thoughts on Apple getting into the space?
Yeah, it's very interesting. They have obviously been notoriously quiet on in the whole sphere of VR, and that's very typical of Apple as well. And I'm assuming this is not an official news source. This is rumor that we've picked up on.
Yes, I actually found this on GameSpot about an hour before the show
Yeah,
broke. It did the news story come out like 8 minutes. I caught it 8 minutes after it came out. So that
hot
seems
off the
interesting.
press.
I'm going to
Yeah,
throw it on the live show.
yeah. So
So you heard it here first.
yeah, absolutely, and that is very interesting. And it doesn't surprise me that Apple would be looking into VR. I'm sure they've had their eyes on it for a while and developing things, and I know they've had some recent evolutions in their processors, and that all contributes to the viability of the premium VR experience, which is obviously with the ballpark they're going to want to play in. So yeah, that will be very interesting, and maybe that says something to the success of Apple Arcade. That I've not read too much into how well that's gone down, but if they're going to continue to invest in game-like experiences, then yeah, that should be very very interesting, and a very interesting, like, VR is not really nailed the aesthetic, I think, so far. It'll be interesting to see what Apple do in the hardware and the visual of the headset. So yeah, very very interested to see what comes of that next year.
Yep. So watch this space. That is breaking news straight from Etch Play. Remember where you heard it via GameSpot, but you heard it from Etch Play. The next bit of news that we have, again, this came out today, late last night. Valve and a few other publishers have got in a little bit of trouble. And by a little bit of trouble, I mean fines up to around 7 million between the lot of them. And essentially, what they have been pulled up for is restricting sales across European borders. So the companies in question were Valve, Bandai Namco and Capcom, Focus Home, Koch Media, and ZeniMax. And it's all been cleared up. It's been reported that everybody cooperated with the investigation, and that saw fines reduced. Other than Valve, who have disputed that, and they've said no, we did cooperate fully. We gave you everything you asked for, and they've said they are going to appeal based on that. So basically, what was happening was there was activation keys, and apparently there were about 100 games on PC that were geo blocked, and there was they were blocked outside of the Czech Republic, Poland, Hungary, Romania, Slovakia, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. And the ruling said that it's a reminder that EU competition law prohibits. I can't even read my own writing here. Contractually, I can't. That's what happens when you write quick. From contractually restricting cross-border sales, and it was meaning that people weren't benefiting from the single market, the digital single market in the EU. So,
Right.
I don't know if you have any thoughts on that one, Dan. That one kind of broke again, hot off the
Hot off
press.
the
But I saw that
press.
one on BBC News, so I definitely trust that one. Not that I don't trust GameSpot.
Yeah, I mean, it's a minefield, isn't it? Borders, kind of trade groups, European unions being in them and not in them,
Yeah,
and when you've got a global united entertainment audience for film, for games, like, I mean, we've talked about it before, kind of like staggered release dates and things like that. It's like the games is definitely an audience that are all on the same page, and I mean, yeah, obviously you have your different factions and supports of different things, but when there is something to be accessible, and for price inconsistencies and delivery date inconsistencies, even content inconsistencies, it's almost arbitrary, the fact that we are in different geographic locations. So yeah, I guess the red tape and the processes to go through and the legalities to adhere to are very sort of non-native to that sort of audience. And yeah, I certainly wouldn't want to try and have to unpick all of that for sure.
no, definitely not. Just games for everyone. Everyone can access any game from anywhere.
I mean, that's it.
God forbid.
That's where we want to get to, isn't it? But
Yeah,
maybe one day.
yeah. One day in the perfect world that I live in. The next bit of news we have, and I was recently pulled up actually for my conversation with Adam on beauty and fashion. I absolutely butchered the name of a fashion company, and I'm not even going to try and correct it, even though I got corrected because I can't remember. I'll definitely say it wrong again. But I'm just saying that because I feel like I'm going to butcher this. Tomonobu Itagaki has established a new studio, and it's called Itagaki Games. So I had to say it twice. He was previously the director of Dead or Alive and the Ninja Gaiden games. And he's been out of the industry of making games for about 4 years. He's been teaching game development. Basically, he said, I want to make games again. And this is what he's set up to do it. It's been said that this isn't linked at all to his past employees of Tecmo and Valhalla. So it's nothing to do with those. But it has raised questions, and linking back to what we were talking about last week, Ninja Gaiden games were Microsoft exclusives. So there's been questions about whether is this going to have any link with Microsoft? Will the games that come out of it be Microsoft exclusives? And he's been kind of vague on the matter and just said if they approach him, he'd be honoured. So whether that means something is happening or if something happens that he would be up for going Microsoft exclusive. But it's apparently it's pronounced Ninja Gaiden. Is that not what I said?
Gaiden. I think it's
Okay.
it's one of
I
these
started
Nike.
all over again.
Um, yeah, they're very cool. If you, I mean, the Ninja Gaiden games are very very popular. They've got a long history. If somebody wants to do the googling, and I certainly don't know off the top of my head, but they've been around for a long time. Very popular franchise. Yeah, I think that's exciting news. And let us know in the chat. What was your first Ninja Gaiden game?
If memory serves me, I think 2008 might have been the first one, but I
Okay.
might have completely got that wrong. So I'm sure someone in the chat will will correct me if I'm wrong, as I'm sure it was Adam who corrected me on Gaiden Gaiden. Next up on the slate is Last of Us, the TV series, not the game, has got a new director. I don't know if you remember, but it was originally supposed to be Johan Renck, who was going to be directing the pilot, who was the director of Chernobyl. And he had to pull out because of a scheduling conflict. But it has now been reported that, and I'm going to butcher this one again, Kantemir Balagov, who is a Russian director, is taking the reins, and it is his first foray into a TV series. But he was previously known for doing the 2019 film Beanpole. Don't know if you saw that.
I didn't, but I am aware of.
I'm just apparently I'm way off at 2008 based on what Joe just said. Apologies, must have got my wires crossed. But yeah, so this guy's taking over The Last of Us. It's been done by HBO, who typically do very, very good TV series. So it's in good hands, and it's been said that the TV show is going to focus on elements from the first game. I haven't played it. I know that you've played it, I believe.
Yes, big fan.
Will introduce characters and events that haven't featured in the game. So there'll be throwbacks to, if you're a fan of the game, but if you're not a fan of the game, or you haven't played the game, sorry, then you will still be able to pick it up and enjoy it. But having played the game, are you excited for the series? Are you going to try and check it out when it comes out?
Definitely am. I think it'd be interesting to see, much like in games, it's in the zombie genre, and it's a genre that's done a lot, and it was interesting to see The Last of Us bring a very strong narrative and character focused take on the zombie genre. I'd say that's been done in TV more so than in games, so it'd be interesting to see how it kind of calls back to the game, but if it's going to stand on its own 2 feet, how it differentiates from your Walking Deads and the many other zombie film and TV experiences that you can already see. So yeah, very keen to see what they do with that.
Cool, good stuff. Okay, I was partly right. Ninja Gaiden 2 was 2008, which is clearly what I had in my head, but the series back dates to 1988, so I was off by 30 years for when it started, but I did have one right.
I did start to question myself. I was like, maybe it was a different franchise I'm thinking of. Ben's not normally one to take a swing at these things, although sometimes he likes to play the numbers, so maybe it was just a hit and hope.
Oh, I also just said 30 years and it was 20 years. I'm in terrible form today. Oh, going well. Cut. I've got technical difficulties.
So, Nick, any more news for us?
And our final bit of news before we head out and see if Thieves is going to appear on your screens before we have a discussion. But we're going to be quick on this because this is actually going to form part of our discussion after the Etch player checks out. Probably in no surprise at all, but Frontier Developments have come out and they have said there is no question that going remote has had effects on productivity. And as we say, week after week, games are being delayed, and they themselves have Elite Dangerous Odyssey. So Elite Dangerous is an incredibly popular game. The Odyssey update that they're working on has been delayed until May, and the latest edition of Lemnis Gate, which was supposed to be coming out this year, has now been pushed to 2022. And they've said that that is directly impacted by going remote. It has affected productivity. So again, it's no shock. I think games is kind of seeing the long end of the tail of that, whereas other industries, as soon as COVID hit, it was an immediate effect. Where I think games are starting to see it's been later coming to them for the effect. But it's interesting that they've come out and said, yes, this is a problem.
And that's definitely an interesting subject we should definitely talk more about. So should we do that after we've watched some Sea of Thieves with some of the other play team?
That sounds a good plan. Thank you for joining us for the news, and enjoy Adam, Pete, and I think Mr. Gammon checking out Sea of Thieves.
Ahoy there! I'm Adam Burt, and this is Sea of Thieves. We're setting sail on a pirate adventure, and I'm joined by two of the greatest seamen that I know. We've got Ben Gammon. Say hello, Ben.
Hello.
And we've got Pete Keating. Say hello, Pete.
Yeah! Hello!
Oh, nice. Yeah, piratey hello. We're going to go and find some treasure. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Always. Solo.
Nice. Pete's raising the anchor. I'm going to go and help him. Let's raise the anchor. So this is a pirate RPG, I guess. You play as a pirate, and it's all online. We're going to sail this ship in search of treasure, and there could be other players waiting to stop us or fight us along the way. So we'll find out.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. Pete's done the sails, which require lowering and a little bit of angling based on the wind patterns you can see. And Ben's doing something with the sails as well. What are you doing, Ben? Raising them? Lowering them?
Same thing. Just angling them. Catch that sweet breeze.
Which direction should we be heading in? Shall I?
Southeast.
South.
We're going to the crooked masts.
We're already heading kind of southeast. I'll keep it fairly steady.
Just going to douse the flames just to make us less visible.
So Adam, we're heading here.
Okay, looking for an island. I'm going to try and go between these spiky rocks. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Nailed it, mate. Nailed it.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, I called you mate then. I should have called you captain. Sorry.
Is that what's going on here? Am I the captain? I feel like...
Yeah, you're driving the ship.
Okay. Designated driver.
Plus, you're the captain, so we can blame you if anything goes wrong.
I'll take full responsibility for anything that goes wrong during this voyage. I can see an island up ahead there, but I'm guessing it's not that one. We're going beyond that one.
So you need to go right a bit. And then heads. So it's now directly south.
Okay. We are heading south.
I'm gonna bring in the base right about now.
Nice. We're coming to the island.
Uh-oh. the crooked masts.
That's it.
Any kind of... there's no dock here, is there? We should just pull up alongside it and...
Yeah. There are rocks that are sort of lower, straight ahead of us, which we might want to aim for. Maybe do a Yui around the rock and bring it in that way. Oh, he's going...
Oh, he's going off. Oh, God. Get the sails up. So we
yeah, maybe prepare to...
Oh, no, you should make it. You make it. Nice. Take the sails all the way up.
Hey, look at that for a parking job. Not bad.
Nice. We lower the...
Yeah, lower the anchor, I reckon.
Then you get in the cannon, Adam. I'll fire you on there.
In I get. Oh! Ow.
Me next. Oh, I didn't bounce. I just smashed.
Oh!
Come ashore. It's good here. We can got some barrels. We can search for supplies. What are we doing here? Finding treasure. Is there a map?
So yeah, here you go. Here's the map.
Ooh. Okay. And the X looks like it's...
Side did we turn up? Did we turn up on
I'll
the
have to work that out, I guess.
northeast side? I think we might have turned up on.
Yeah. I think that rock matches that rock we pulled that I nearly hit. Ooh.
Skeletons.
So there should be it must just be directly in the middle. So it's either this side or that side of the bridge.
I reckon it's around here somewhere. Shall I just randomly dig? Like...
yeah, go for it here. I reckon it's probably around here somewhere.
it's not there.
I think it's the other side.
See?
Oh. Actually, no, I think you're right. It must be around here.
Lots of food in these barrels if anyone wants any food.
I just had lunch. Oh!
You got it? Whoa!
Well, I can.
Nice.
Alright, let's get
Skeletons of
this
history.
chest up. Teamwork makes the dream work. Yes!
The Marauder's chest.
Nice. Shall I grab it?
Can't really... that's quite heavy work for the captain, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's okay. I like to lead by example.
Oh, good.
I'm going to swim back to the ship and hopefully not encounter any sharks on the way.
I'm just going to go grab some more stuff for the ship.
Does
Just
this
got a
ship have
feeling
name?
that there's an... Oh, maybe you forgot to name it. I'm open to suggestions because I can't
What's
think
this?
of it.
We need a name for the ship, Pete. And as captain, I'm designating you as the person to name this.
Oh my god.
Name it something appropriate for the stream, please.
What should the ship be called? I quite like Dan's. Dan did have a really good suggestion last time he played. That would probably be adequate. Which was the Unsinkable 2.
Unsinkable 2. I like it.
I have found a chest of sorrows.
Is that the one that cries?
Yeah. So do you know about this, Adam?
No, what's the Chest of Sorrows do?
This chest will randomly start crying and water will come out of it. And when it's on your boat, it will fill your boat up.
Oh, I've just been bitten by a snake.
So why would we want it? Is it worth a lot of money?
It's worth more than the chest we just got, I think, but it can be a bit of a pain to lug it round.
Could be a challenge for us.
You'll know when it's crying.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll hear it.
Bring it aboard, and we'll.
It sounds like Ben Joy when the rhino's loose. They don't seem to be crying at the moment, though.
Yeah, it's not non-stop, is it?
Satisfied at the minute.
Is Adam on the boat?
Yeah, I'm in the crow's nest.
Oh yeah, right. Find an outpost then.
Oh, I fell downstairs.
So we want to go probably back the way we came, I guess.
Which direction?
That's north. Okay, it's crying now.
Oh, okay.
So if you go below deck, Adam, you'll see it's filling up.
Feels like quite fast. How much water is coming out of the chest?
Does it cry non-stop while you're moving? Is that how it works?
It shouldn't do.
Is there? Can you play music to it? Is that a thing?
Not sure, actually.
Let's see if you can calm it down.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, looks like we're all clear down here.
It's a bit weird. You're not exactly playing the happiest of things.
It's like a lullaby, though, isn't it?
Any requests? Oh, hold on. And so say all of us.
Okay, we need to go northwest.
Come on, Captain.
Coming.
Choppy, innit?
Rough seas today. But no
Reminds me
sign,
of getting the high ferry.
no sign of any other players yet, which is good. We're not about to get destroyed. Oh, it's very choppy. It's making me feel a bit seasick.
Right, let's really slow us down.
Am I heading to the right dock?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you are. God, fancy taking the captain wheel off the captain.
I mean,
That's okay.
he's a bit preoccupied.
As pirate ships go, this is fairly democratic, this one.
Oh!
We've hit something. Where's the wood?
There's a hole at the front.
Patching it. Any other damage? What did we hit? A rock.
We hit the dock.
Oh.
Yeah, we were too fast.
Yeah, we
That's what
did
you get
great
when I'm
now.
not driving.
This is on
Whoa.
fire.
Ah,
Whoa!
how did that happen? Is
Oh,
that lightning?
Oh, the lightning. I want to go right a tad, Gam.
I think we're still going to need the anchor.
I'll drop it when you want.
Turn left now, Gam.
Drop it.
That's not bad. Not bad.
Really good. You're promoted to first mate. Right. Who am I taking this Marauder's chest to? Who wants this?
You follow me.
Oh.
Oh.
I've fallen in the water.
Nice. So I think not these two. It's this gentleman over here. Oh, 6,000!
We're rich.
Nice.
1,000 for the Marauders. 6,800. There we go. Mission
Cheers.
complete.
You're not cheersing with me.
Oh, hold
So
on, sorry.
cheers. There
I'm
you
just
go.
gonna neck this.
Nice, yeah, drown it. This is Sea of Thieves. We're going to throw back to the studio, and we'll see you again on a future Etch Play video. Thanks for watching. Say goodbye, Ben and Pete.
Bye.
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 We're going live. And we are back. That was the play team, captain and crewing the good ship, the Unsinkable 2, from in the excellent Sea of Thieves. And yeah, just before we cut to that, we were discussing some issues highlighted in productivity from Frontier, and that's what we thought we would have a bit of a discussion about. The world of remote work in the world of video games is something we've touched on in the past, and there's obviously a lot to dig into, but we've been giving it some thought and we've got some experiences. Yeah, Ben, any opening thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting coming back to it. You say we've talked about this before, touched on it before, but we're now getting into nearly, we're not far off a year of this being the norm, so to speak. And as we said before, we went into the checks out video. Kind of, it feels like gaming is kind of hitting feeling the tail end, like the slow burn of some of the issues around remote working, with other industries, some not even able to do remote working. So, fortunate for anyone who can work remote has been able to keep doing that. There's a lot of people who haven't. But that was felt very immediate, whereas gaming obviously had a bit of a bumpy start and then kind of settled into it. But now we're seeing, every week we talk about game delays, and as Frontier have now confirmed, remote working is playing a part on that. I found interesting, and maybe not that surprising, what they said was any kind of individual based tasks haven't been too bad. They haven't seen many efficiency discrepancies between what would happen in a studio and what's happening remotely. But where they're feeling the pinch is the larger projects, the collaborative tasks, maybe leaning towards the creative output task where typically there would be multiple people working on it at the same time in the same place, and that's what's slowing down as a result of remote working.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We've talked before some of the sort of success stories in it when we early on were all sort of packed up and went home. We kind of paid tribute to the Moon Studios of the Ori games, who have always been remote. And at that point, I think that was probably I think they've reached around 50 or so people for the last news that I saw, and that was a sizable team, and a testament to what you can achieve in with a reasonably large remote team. But now everybody has been effectively gone remote, and we've got the 2, 3, 4, 500 person studios trying to figure it out, and I think Frontier are one of the larger ones in the UK for sure. Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see those who are managing, those who are obviously set up for it, and then is there a point, is there a scale that which remote can't work for game development? It'll be interesting to see how that unfolds over the coming months, and whether any stick with it permanently, whether everybody rushes back to the studios. Yeah, very, very interesting times.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned about the setup, because I think that when I said about the initial bumpy start for games, I think that was the initial problem, is getting everyone set up and geared to work, getting all the high powered equipment home and into their remote environment. And then it's kind of everyone is then beholden to their own setup. When you're in a studio, kind of you're all in one ecosystem, you're all working on off the same infrastructure, and everyone is working on kind of a level playing field. Whereas, as we've seen, obviously we don't necessarily do as much high power stuff as some of the gaming development tasks, but we've seen it before. If someone's internet is struggling, that can take them essentially out of a meeting which that they need to be in, or it can make things harder. So when everyone else is looking after their own infrastructure and reliant on factors that they're not used to controlling in an environment where it needs to work at the time it needs to work, that can make things difficult. And I think that's maybe what Frontier are getting at when they're saying these larger collaborative tasks are where things are slowing down, and that's a knock-on effect of these things happening. And also maybe just being in person. We know that you throwing ideas around helps, and you can do that remotely, and maybe some people would prefer to do that in person, and don't feel maybe quite as creative behind a screen as sitting next to someone and scribbling things down and watching people doing it. So that, I think, that might be also having an effect.
I think as well, especially with these larger teams, but any team really, when you're used to working a certain way. We talk about the success stories of remote, but they've started from nothing remote and added, start off with a team of 5 and grown and grown and grown, and your conditioned behaviors and the way you work are kind of remote by default. When you are team office location based by default, and then we have this sudden switch, there's going to be a lot of friction in embracing and figuring out what works right for you and your organization. And yeah, that transition, it was probably very, very difficult on a lot of production lines.
And I think as well, going back to the setup, like, I think everyone's done a great job of getting themselves set up at home and able to work at home. But something that not to be forgotten about is studios have incredibly expensive equipment and incredibly expensive setups that cannot be moved. Like, it's very difficult to pick up an audio recording studio and move it to someone's house. Like, we've been in studios and we've seen setups, and it's the effort that's gone to create the perfect optimal setting to get exactly what you need out of it, to then not be able to go there and use it, is definitely going to have an impact. Like I say, you can't pick that up and move it to somebody's house. That's just not feasible to do. So that can make life really, really difficult. And I think something we were talking about before we came on the stream is that different jobs are probably better suited to remote. Like, I feel like in the job that I do, doing like account management and strategy, that kind of thing, like, being at home isn't really a blocker for me. I can do that anywhere. And in fact, being at home sometimes is better because I can get some headspace and some quiet, not that often, with everything going on. But like that, it doesn't really affect my job too much. But other people who work closely together and maybe have jobs, as we've said, working with high power equipment, like it's going to be much harder for them to transition their job to a remote environment.
I think there's a potentially really interesting future based on that focusing on the specialist equipment, like you say, which you can't take a multi-person recording studio and put it into somebody's back bedroom. You can't. You can't. People are achieving incredible things with their home setups, but like motion capture, multi-person interactive scene motion capture, that's just not something you can do in your garden. There's all those sorts of jobs, but at the same time, like you said, there are certain jobs that are fine to do remotely, and maybe some of the studios are seeing the benefits to the remote culture. Maybe they're seeing opportunities to perhaps downsize their office space, and you could see one version of the future where perhaps these specialist equipments become dotted around areas and maybe even shared, kind of like an Airbnb for recording studios and motion capture and things like that. Maybe there's an evolution of the way studios operate, because yes, you can get to a point where your actors or your voice artists or your audio people can go and use the equipment, but is it worth having a 700 person studio with just 10 people in the audio suite? Maybe that's a bit wasteful.
Yeah, and I think another positive of the remote working setup is that we know from working with multiple game studios and being in around in the industry, like recruitment is always really high on a priority list for pretty much every studio out there. Everyone is hiring and everybody is trying to get the best talent. And going remote all of a sudden opens you up to hiring from anywhere. All of a sudden, the recruitment pool becomes a lot larger, which when everyone's recruiting is great because there's only so many people going around. It just makes life a little bit easier there in that you can find the best person to do the job anywhere. You're not restricted by your location or having to deal necessarily with relocation costs, making someone make a difficult decision of maybe uprooting their family and taking them for their job. If they can get a great job and not have to move, then that's win-win for everybody.
Yeah, it's also interesting seeing which certain studios are leaning into that and saying, well, actually, yeah, as long as we've got the best person for the job, they can be anywhere around the world, and the I guess the counter to that, people are, like we've been discussing, struggling with the access to equipment, the collaboration, and a big factor that we've been doing a lot of thinking about recently is the impact on culture, and having everybody together in a game studio. That is like when you're picturing your ideal career and you want to work in games, you don't picture yourself in your bedroom sat at your computer chatting to people on video feeds. You picture a really funky environment and games and collaboration sessions, whiteboard sessions, all these kind of real fun environments, and that's how game studios sell themselves. They showcase this through their websites, through recruitment videos. It's like, look at this environment, look at this dynamic, isn't it great? And now, even with these huge recruitment needs that the studios have, you can't really showcase that. You can't show an empty office. We're having some really interesting conversations around, well, how do we showcase our culture and our dynamism and the great talent that we've got via these little boxes and Zoom calls.
Yeah, a screenshot of a Zoom call doesn't quite have the same effect as a video going through these amazingly kitted out studios with a buzzing environment. So yeah, it's as you say, we've been having some really interesting conversations about how you can forefront that culture, and I think it's almost starting to think of your culture in a different way. Obviously, that is, as you said, that's a huge pull for people, the environment, and the things that are in studios. But that's not necessarily the culture. The culture is about how you feel when you're working and the people that you're working with. So it's kind of bringing that more to the forefront and being like, right, how do we communicate that out rather than all the gadgets and toys that we've got? It's why is it great to work here and be an employee of this company? So, and that's a great discussion to have, and it's that information is there and people know what it is, and it's great to actually see that start being brought forwards, and bringing that into the conversation as opposed to just maybe necessarily just perks of an office. So that's really interesting to have those conversations. As you say, we've been having a lot with various different studios. So
yeah, I think as well it's worth highlighting that what what we're looking at is the transition. We aren't all working remotely. We are all currently working at home during a pandemic, and there's a different thing. And now I guess what we're talking about is switching to, okay, what is the difference? What is the optimal setup for remote working, and how do we want to reintroduce some of these challenges that we can't solve in the current conditions, but have we learned something from this experience that actually we can take forward, and we can evolve our mindsets and our default modes of operating. And yeah, it's an interesting forced evolution of how we work and how we operate, and certainly in the game space, the impact it's had there is, as you said, we're seeing delays every week of something or another, and conversely, we've talked about the benefits of the global situation as well. The games that are already released, especially the games as a service, the long life games, they've seen huge benefits to the fact that the rest of the world are sat at home looking for things to do. So yeah, I guess commercially, games studios, publishers, the games industry has fared, comparatively excellently to many other harder hit sectors. But this next wave. I mean, we've launched a generation of consoles under these conditions, and we're somewhat starved of next generation content because of the impact on game production. So yeah, we're certainly not at the end of these lessons that we're learning, I think.
No, I think you're absolutely right in that it's not everyone's all of a sudden gone remote. We're making do. But I think what this is going to help us over the past 12 months, a lot of great feedback is going to come out for companies, which I'm sure will find its way out into the wider market as well, so everyone can benefit from, is how people like to work and want to work, and how they need to be set up. Because I think we're not going to see everyone all of a sudden just, right, we're 100% remote now, because not all people want to do that. It doesn't benefit everyone, and not all employees want to do that. I mean, we know from even in our own teams, there are people who really love working from home, and other people who want to get back in an office as soon as they can. So getting all that feedback back is going to make life easier for making those decisions. Right, how do we make working great for everyone? Be that a split remote office, how do we make an office better if we're going full time in the office? How do we make it work if everyone's remote? So as you say, it's obviously a horrible situation we're in, but there's a lot of great information that's going to come out of it for how we can improve and make working life a lot better going forwards. And a lot of people who are going to be taking the brunt of that, as we know from our own company as well, is the IT departments in all these companies, who are kind of lurking in the background as the unsung heroes who are having to deal with getting everyone at home, getting everyone set up, dealing with everyone's inevitable problems remotely. I'm glad I don't work in the IT department, because it's probably, it's not been easy for anyone over the last 12 months, but I feel like they've probably had a bit of a rough time.
I think,
so give some love to your IT guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think in any company that's had to go remote as a result, the IT and the infrastructure side of things has been a challenge. But I think I can't picture much more of a more challenging environment than a game studio to have to go. And yeah, like you mentioned before, the high powered equipment that you need, or the specialist equipment that you need, the connectivity. A lot of the specialist tools rely on things known as license servers. So your 3D package, it's enabled by the fact that it's on a network, and it can see the license server saying, yes, this is a valid machine, and all of a sudden that's got to be distributed, working with home connections, dealing with consumer grade routers, and yeah, that is a monumental task, and I can't begin to imagine how a several hundred person studio, how those IT folks manage that. So, like you said, unsung, like we mentioned in the first half, community management, unsung heroes, definitely IT departments in games. Massive credit to them.
Yeah. Now, we could talk about remote and the effect it had for hours and hours and hours, but we won't keep them for hours and hours and hours. So just the final thing I want us to, because I'm sure we'll come back to this at some point, that I want us to close off on, is kind of, it's not necessarily just for games companies. This is for people who have gone remote and working from home as a whole. Is how you can keep up. We've touched on the culture, how you can keep up that culture. Because when we all first went into home working, everyone was, for, getting on the Zoom call, doing the quizzes. And, as I'm sure everyone has seen organically over the 12 months, that kind of it peters out, and it's easy for that to just disappear, and all of a sudden you're by yourself, and the people who don't want to be at home working by themselves, that becomes even more of a struggle. So it's interesting. I know you said you were having a conversation the other night about how to combat that. So how do you think you can do that? How do you think you can?
So it is definitely a phenomenon that I think people are kind of realizing is there was almost a sense of excitement, if you like, in the new way of working at first, and we were all jumping on. We would have the weekly quizzes and the kind of that we were really putting in a lot of effort to try and generate the fun and the feel of that we're losing from being a together team in an office. And now we are a year down the line, and some of those behaviours have petered off. Some of the novelty has worn off, and certainly, and we've found this ourselves. You can end up going weeks at a time, and the only communication you have with your colleagues are very purposeful. We've got to have a meeting. We'll jump on a video call, but it's for a reason. It's for a purpose, and it's very action orientated, and it's very productivity focused, and it's exhausting and it's tiring. It's definitely taken its toll on everybody's kind of mental health. And I was in a roundtable discussion around HR and ops with some other games companies, and it was really interesting to see everybody sharing these kind of same recognition and kind of learning or realizing that it's not an individual company problem to fix. It's actually, again, it's the state of working at home in a pandemic. And we know from some of the tools that we use, the kind of the happiness indexes and things like that are trending down across the board, across industries, across role types, and it's hard at the moment. In terms of battling it, I think what's important and what we've recently realized and was certainly highlighted in this discussion is we need to revisit our, that we put in place all these great things to begin with, but we've kind of let them stagnate, and actually maybe it's time to keep injecting something new, something fun. As we got our normal host Adam did a great sort of scavenger hunt exercise for us the other week, and that was really good fun, and that was very much the first time in a while we'd all just come together to actually have some fun rather than just get the job done. So I think revisiting the things that maybe have got a bit stale, maybe bringing back some of the things that we've stopped doing, and just thinking about what else can we do, what can we do that's different, and obviously operating within the restrictions that people around the world are having to deal with. It's definitely something to reassert ourselves on, that this isn't a normal situation and we do need to keep trying, but equally perhaps give ourselves a break, that this isn't necessarily a problem any one person or team or company can just fix.
Yeah, that's a very good point from Steve in the chat, who's saying, obviously, the tech aspects, you can sort that out, but it's the people on the health side is a different beast and difficult to maintain. As you were just saying, it's important that we don't forget that, and we don't just focus on getting the tech stuff sorted, because we can sort that, but it's difficult with people, as Steve says. So, well, thank you for that discussion, Dan. As I said, we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours.
And we do.
I think we do. We'll draw a line under it there for this week. I'm sure we will be back to talk about it at some point. If anyone's got any thoughts on how they work remotely, any good things that they've done, that they've seen, let us know on Twitter at EtchPlay. Give us a shout. We're always interested in hearing what's going on and how you're coping with things. And as always, thank you for joining us for this week's Etch Play live show. We'll be back next week, as always, at 4 p.m. right here. And if you want to catch some of our older shows, if you might have missed them, head over to our YouTube channel called Etch Play, and you'll find them all there. Dan, thank you again for joining me.
Thank you.
And as you're producing this week's show, and it's gone off without a hitch, I'll let you play us out.
Oh, you've cursed it now, haven't you? So, let's do the wave.